Good afternoon. If you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself and your position here at Starbucks.
Hi, my name is Elliot. I'm a store manager here at Starbucks.
Hi, Chris. Thank you for being here today. Just to start off, I have a couple of questions in regards to your role and some prior experience that you have. Um, First of all, what are some roles and general responsibilities within this organization that you hold?
Currently, my role is store manager, and that kind of just entails a lot of like community work and a lot of partner care aspects, making sure that like all the people that work in our store kind of have feel supported and they feel not only like encouraged to go out into their community, but to be able to support each other and kind of look for other things to have it be more of a meaningful impact to them.
I love that, especially meaningful impacts on individuals is like a super important part of management and leadership as in general, as well as advocacy. Um, with that, did you have any prior experience with food insecurity within your own community, home, personal life, work life before working with Starbucks? And do you have any other experience with the Starbucks food share donation program?
Personally, I did. Before I worked for Starbucks, I moved to a different state and I did not have a job and I kind of had to figure out my own way after I left home. But I figured out my way working for Starbucks and the different benefits that they offer and things like that. And then in high school, I spent a lot of time doing some like volunteering and different outreach things in like in the community with like Feed My Starving Children and different things that involve hunger and food donation and stuff like that.
I've used Feed My Starving Children a lot. I think that one's a really good one for everybody to be able to get into, and it's like fun and enjoyable too. Um, do you think that that experience shaped who you are as a leader now in the advocacy area of community affairs? And I know that you do like different drives and stuff within the local store, such as like food drives, blood drives, doggy drives. So do you think that that has shaped who you are now?
I think so, and I think a lot of like my time, like part of what like high school can be a really bad time for a lot of people, but for me, like the thing that made high school so enjoyable for me was being able to go out and do different things in the community because I was part of so many like extracurricular clubs that were all involved in like community engagement, community outreach, and those were always like the highlight of my time in high school. And so like seeing the benefit that those have and like how much like impact that even just like a couple hours here and there can really helped me kind of try it and do that in a different way and kind of start that in our store. And I know that not every store does it, but it's something that's really impactful and meaningful to me as a leader. And it definitely kind of shaped the way that like I'd done it and really getting like the partners in the store, their kind of input on like what is something that they really care about and something they really value. Because we do the blood drive with American Red Cross, but it's not something that like I initially had thought of. It was another partner that brought it up to me saying like, hey, like this is something that's really important to me. And now that's something that I've kind of taken ownership of and now we're on our third, almost fourth blood drive in the store.
I love that. I wasn't able to participate in the last one, but I'm hoping I'll be able to participate in the next blood drive that you guys have. Um, Going into you talking about partners and things that you enjoy when working with partners and gathering their feedback. What about working with Starbucks at Starbucks within Starbucks is your favorite? Is it the people? Is it the cause? Is it benefits? Is it everything?
It definitely has a little bit of everything, but it definitely is like the partners and the people that like we really get to meet and know. And like that's why I've taken the path into my development as a leader is just it's the impact that each partner can have getting to know that. And it's definitely like it's a different environment than other like companies to work for. And it's like having it be a partner rather than an employee is even like a mental and cultural shift from a lot of places to where like that really resonates with me and like my leadership style is very partner forward and partner focused and it's something that like I value and like even like not to loop it back to high school but like you had teachers that really had such a really high impact on you that like you'll remember for the rest of your life and you should have managers that are similar because like you learn a lot from them, and sometimes, especially in Starbucks, it is people's first jobs, and it's like their introduction into like not the real world, but the adult world, where it's like it can be a lot harder when you're doing it in an environment that's not very inclusive or not very supportive. That really matters to me the most, which is it has a lot to do with partners. Benefits is obviously a bonus, but it's the partners that really matter.
I think that you're a very impactful manager and like your words have a lot of weight. So I appreciate you coming from that standpoint because I think you're someone I would want to model myself after when I move up in either Starbucks or the world in general. And I guess going with that, do you have a specific story where someone was positively impacted by this organization that you're willing to share?
Not like a specific instance, but even when like I host these different drives and things, and like right now we're doing the one for the dog rescue. That like this is the first time that I've done that one, so I don't know necessarily what the impact is, but I'm hoping to find out by the end of the month that I know that like all the things that we've donated will have a really big impact on it. And then the blood drives that we host, there's different things like once those are completed, they send me a little like document that has all of the things, and like it literally says what my impact was by hosting that drive, and like the amount of lives that like it has changed and the amount of lives that it can affect by just having like those extra people. And each drive's gotten more and more popular to where it's like from the first time we had 18 to the second time we had almost 40. So like the impact on it is huge, and kind of nailing down what works best and trying different drives and trying different ways to kind of reach out to the community and have that impact in our little small area of the world.
I feel like there's not a lot of locations that are reaching out as outwardly as our location is. And I think that's great that we're doing that. Is there a specific leading style that you use when you take on these extra mile tasks, I would call them, because it's not necessarily something that you're required to do, but you do it anyway. And I think that's great. Is there specific ways that you go about leading that with your team?
Yes and no. Like a lot of the time, especially because like you all have to, everyone starts somewhere. And it was definitely something like with my prior experience with community engagement and involvement that like I wanted to find ways, but didn't know how. And like there isn't really, like you said, a whole lot of examples of stores that do take the time to go out and do that. Um, but I wanted to be different, and I wanted to find a way. And it's like, if there is a will, there is a way. And like my kind of start to it was just reaching out to somebody in the organization, and usually they have somebody that helps set stuff up like that. So it's like if you really wanted and you didn't know where to start, you like I've emailed the Red Cross and I've emailed the dog place and all the different things to say like, would you be interested in partnering with this, and kind of going from there. And usually they help with setup and things like that. For like the Red Cross, they get all the stuff set up for me. All I do is I host it, and it's like really just planning the day and time that I think would have the most impact and going from there. But like my leadership style towards it is definitely learner mindset, and like I don't know what I'm doing.
You're just
And then
learning as you
learning
go.
as
Yeah.
I go, and really just taking like each time I do it as an experience, and then once I get it, I can learn from each one and be like, oh, okay, that didn't work. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Or like the time frame needs to be longer, or maybe it's not the right time of the year to do it, or something like that. Where it's really just taking each experience and each drive and each community event and figuring out what works best. Even like last year, they weren't drives, but they were community events where we hosted things in the stores. And it was some of them were more popular than the others. And it was definitely something I tried a new one every other month. And it was like that one was better than the last one. And then the one after that wasn't as good, but it all had to do with because of the type of event that it was. And it's really just figuring out what your community values.
I've definitely appreciated like your help with mine when I had my food drive back in March, just because I know that it probably wasn't the best time in the year for me doing it. I mean, hence the fact that we didn't receive as many donations as I expected or wanted. But like now I'm able to take that and then apply it to maybe a different time in the year, or apply it to maybe a local like grocery donation or X, Y, and Z ABC. Actually also answered one of my questions about using your learning experiences in the organization to teach others how to advocate. And that's exactly what you did for me, is like I just bounced everything off of you, and you opened up the store for me to be able to do that. So I appreciate that. Um, how do you generally like approach individuals, situations, or areas of advocacy that come to your organization seeking help for any area of need? So I know you said you reach out to most of them. Do you have any reach out to you first?
Not really. Like there are things like we do donations for like schools and different things and things like that come up, but it's never anything super crazy because a lot of nonprofits don't normally reach out to, especially like Starbucks as a store, because
Because they're
it's
just
not
like
really, there's
corporate.
so many of them. And it is like a store by store basis, and like one might say yes, one might say no, depending on how they're feeling or who's leading the store. And it really just kind of has to be like what you want your store to be known for. And that was something that like was really like what I had top of my mind when I went and I took over the stores. It's like, what do I want my store's purpose to be?
Like
What I
neighborhood community center.
Yes, and really like what is Starbucks' mission? What are their values? How can we integrate that into the community and really have it be something that can cohesively fit with like what I personally want this store to be known for and how I can take it to that level. As far as like how and like different resources that there are, not necessarily like volunteering or things like that, but Starbucks as like a company just kind of we went through a little bit of like a reset shift on some expectations of things. And like there is like a Starbucks community resources page that every store is meant to fill out with different things for like local non-emergency, shelter and housing, food, employment, healthcare, veteran services, substance abuse, stuff like that, where like that's meant to be posted for people in the community to come and have access to those numbers or organizations where they can seek help if they need it. And like that was something that was new to me and I didn't know that. And within this last couple of months is something that like as our district has realigned on things, that's something that we all just kind of got on board with. And now we have the whole United Way community profile for our store that has all of the phone numbers and times and addresses and things and names of organizations that like if any partner or any customer were to be needing to seek help in any sort of manner, it would be on there. And then as we get closer to the summer months, we're gonna update it with like I know that they have like cooling areas and water stations for people during the summer.
That's actually, I didn't know about that. That's actually really cool. And I know that it's super impactful that we even have a community board, because I know that some stores don't have one at all. And I think that it's great that what we're advertising isn't really like advertising. It's just, hey, here's an opportunity for either a customer in the community or baristas and partners in the community to be able to like support everybody instead of just a very closed off amount of people. Um, I answered one of my questions, and then my last question for you is, how is success measured within your organization, and where do you say Starbucks falls on a scale of being successful in their mission?
Success is really hard to define, especially in like Starbucks leadership. Because it all has to do with like the capacity of that leader and where that leader is at in their journey in their role. And like some might take community outreach as something that is an extracurricular or something that like they don't necessarily, and it's not defined in our role as something that like we're meant to do. And like we are meant to foster like community engagement and things like that, but it depends on who the leader is to really kind of pick what that means to them. So for me, like I think Starbucks as a whole, it does pretty good with success in the terms of like community engagement, community outreach, especially in certain times. I wouldn't say always, but they do have like community champion portal and things like that where all partners have access to signing up for pretty much any sort of volunteering event that could be happening in their area. And like they do, and Starbucks does offer like the giving match where it's like we donate to a nonprofit, they'll match our donation. and things like that. And like if we volunteer, they pay for your time and you log your time in and they give you like $5 for every hour, whatever they give then they pay that back to the organization that you volunteered at. So not only are you volunteering your time, Starbucks is also paying to help them as well because it is something that like maybe a partner values this more than they value that, or they took the time to go volunteer at something else that like Starbucks stands by partner's choice to volunteer and help support the organizations that partners are passionate about, not just what Starbucks is passionate about.
And that is super huge. I didn't know that either. So thank you for letting me know that. I've definitely appreciated using Starbucks as like almost like a diving board to be able to do other things in the community and almost have like the extra space. I mean, it is what they want it to be. It's a third place. It's somewhere where I can't run a food drive donation out of my home. It's just not practical. But like running it out of a business and also my workplace has become such a like important thing for me that for the past 3 years, that's all I've been doing is talking about food insecurity in advocacy areas that I can support very easily from a store that allows me to be able to do that. So, I mean, I appreciate you and I thank you for your time. And I will be getting back to you with anything else that I have in regards to partner research or anything like that. So I appreciate you.
Happy to help.
Thank you very much.